Today, we will explore 7 painful yet extraordinarily valuable lessons that we can learn from C.S. Lewis. These lessons, drawn from his life, his faith, and his works, invite us to reflect on love, loss, pain, faith, and hope in ways we may have never considered before. From facing the reality of suffering to understanding the importance of sacrifice, from accepting death to pursuing truth, even when uncomfortable. These lessons challenge us, comfort us, and above all, teach us to live more fully and meaningfully. The first one is, pain is an instrument of change. In moments of suffering, when pain envelops our hearts like a dense fog, it may seem like we are walking alone through a dark and unfamiliar valley. Lewis's journey through the dark valley of suffering, as detailed in The Problem of Pain, offers deep and reflective insights into human nature, suffering, and the Christian faith. Confronting the acute pain of losing his wife, Joy Davidman, he writes, "Getting over it so soon?" But the words are ambiguous. To say the patient is getting over it after an operation for appendicitis is one thing. After he's had his leg off is quite another. After that operation, either the wounded stump heals or the man dies. If it heals, the fierce continuous pain will stop. Presently, he'll get back his strength and be able to stump about on his wooden leg. He has got over it. But he will probably have recurrent pains in the stump all his life, and perhaps pretty bad ones. And he will always be a one-legged man. There will be hardly any moment when he forgets it. Bathing, dressing, sitting down and getting up again, even lying in bed will all be different. His whole way of life will be changed. All sorts of pleasures and activities that he once took for granted will have to be simply written off. Duties, too. At present, I am learning to get about on crutches. Perhaps I shall presently be given a wooden leg, but I shall never be a biped again. Suffering, though inherently painful and often difficult to comprehend, carries significant potential for personal and spiritual transformation. Suffering plays several crucial roles in human life in the Christian journey. Know that every tear shed, every deep sigh, every moment of despair does not go unnoticed. Like stars shining brighter against the darkness of the night sky, so is the love that surrounds us, even when least perceived. There is a greater strength, a loving presence that sustains us, embraces us, and leads us through the shadows into the light. Suffering, however arduous, carries seeds of growth and renewal. Like rain falling, bringing new life to parched earth, so can our trials transform us, nurturing our souls with understanding, compassion, and profound resilience. We are being shaped, refined, prepared to bloom in ways we never imagined possible. Suffering serves as an awakening, a severe yet necessary call to the reality of our need for God. In The Problem of Pain, he suggests that God speaks to us through our pleasure, but shouts at us through our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Suffering, therefore, can be seen as a divine tool meant to break our complacency and self-sufficiency, leading us to a deeper and more sincere dependence on God. Lewis would also emphasize the role of suffering in character growth and purification. Just as gold is refined by fire, so are our souls purified through trials and pains. Suffering confronts us with our own weaknesses, failures, and sins. It humbles us and makes us recognize our inability to face life on our own. This process of purification is essential for us to become more like Christ, developing virtues such as patience, perseverance, compassion, and genuine faith. 2. Human love is ephemeral. In moments of loss and farewell, when love seems to fade like the morning mist, we may find ourselves lost in a sea of sadness, questioning the purpose of loving when love can be so ephemeral. In The Four Loves, Lewis explores different types of love: affection, friendship, eros, romantic love, and agape, unconditional love or charity. Lewis acknowledges that human loves, affection, friendship, and eros, are inherently imperfect and can be ephemeral, subject to change and even termination. However, he sees these loves as means through which we learn to love more deeply and truly, moving us towards agape, the love that is selfless and reflects more closely the love of God. Thus, even the transient nature of human loves has value, serving as a school for spiritual and moral growth. In our journey through life, we encounter the ethereal beauty of love in its many forms. each leaving an indelible mark on our soul. Human love, in all its glory and pain, is a dance of shadows and light, a fabric woven with threads of fleeting moments and lasting memories. Though love may at times seem ephemeral, slipping through our fingers like grains of sand in the wind, it offers us lessons of profound wisdom and truth. Lewis does not ignore the pain that accompanies the loss of human loves. As seen earlier in his deeply personal account of his grief after the death of his wife, Joy Davidman, Lewis directly confronts the pain of loss. He writes about the challenge of reconciling his deep love for his wife with the brutal reality of her absence. Through this process, we realize how love and loss can lead to a deeper understanding of oneself, of God, and of the nature of true love. 3. Abandon pride, considered as the great sin that is at the root of all other sins. In his works, especially in Mere Christianity, Lewis examines how pride can corrupt the essence of the human being and distance them from both God and others. Pride is essentially competitive by nature. It is not about having more, but having more than the next person. This competitive nature of pride leads us to constantly compare ourselves to others, resulting in envy, resentment, and a sense of superiority or inferiority. This comparison is destructive to our relationships, as it prevents us from genuinely loving others, making us self-centered and focused on our desires to be more than others. In moments of struggle and challenge, when the weight of the world seems immense and the path ahead uncertain, it is natural to feel overwhelmed and alone. However, even in the darkest hours, there is a light of hope and an invitation to embrace humility, a virtue that, far from diminishing us, reveals the true greatness of our humanity. For Lewis, pride is the fundamental barrier between man and God. In pride, man seeks to elevate himself, placing himself in the place of God, desiring to be the master of his own destiny and the arbiter of his own worth. This reverses the natural order of things, as it puts the creature above the Creator. Pride makes us forget our dependence on God and our need for His grace, distancing us from the humility essential for true communion with Him. Being humble is the true acknowledgement of our position before God and others. Humility frees us from the need to constantly compete, allowing us to find satisfaction and value not in being better than others, but in our relationship with God and in serving others. Humility paves the way for true love, for authentic relationships, and for a life in genuine community. 4. Death is a part of life. Death is often seen as a separation, a painful end to the connections and experiences we weave throughout our lives. It brings with it sharp pain and insurmountable longing, leaving a void where there once was laughter, conversation, and presence. And yet, within this same pain, we find a powerful reminder of the love we shared, the fragility of life, and the importance of living each day with purpose and meaning. Death is not the end, it is a passage to a deeper and eternal reality. In several of his works, especially in the Chronicles of Narnia, Lewis uses metaphors and allegories to describe death as a gateway to true life. This theme is vividly illustrated in the conclusion of The Last Battle, where the characters discover that what they considered to be the end is only the beginning of their true story, which is going to begin now and last forever. Despite his realistic approach to the suffering that accompanies death, he also offers comfort. He reminds us that, for the Christian, death is the beginning of life in the presence of God, a life free from pain, suffering, and separation. The hope of resurrection and the promise of new creation offer a perspective that transforms mourning into joy, not denying the pain of loss, but placing it in a broader context of redemption and renewal. In this moment of reflection on death, may we find not only acceptance, but also a deeper appreciation for the precious gift that is life. May the awareness of our mortality inspire us to live more fully, to embrace those we love more tightly, and to find joy and meaning in the simplest moments. 5. The need for forgiveness. Forgiveness is an act of immense courage and generosity, a true gesture of strength that reflects the depth of our hearts and the greatness of our souls. However, we recognize that the path to forgiveness can be filled with challenges, doubts, and pains. Yet it is also a path of healing, freedom, and renewal. Forgiveness is seen as essential for the reconciliation and restoration of broken relationships. In Matthew, then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. By choosing to forgive, you are not only releasing someone from their emotional debt, you are, more importantly, freeing yourself from the chains of resentment and bitterness that weigh upon your spirit. This is an act of self-love as much as it is an act of love for others. You allow yourself to breathe more freely, to make room in your heart for more joy and peace, and to walk lighter through life. In his work, Lewis not only emphasizes the importance of forgiveness, but also explores its difficulties and the transformation it can bring about in both the forgiver and the forgiven. Forgiveness is also presented as a means of personal liberation from resentment and bitterness. In Ephesians 4:31-32, Paul exhorts Christians to get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Remember, forgiving does not mean forgetting what happened or minimizing the pain that was caused. It also does not require you to restore a relationship to what it was before. It does mean, however, acknowledging the pain, allowing yourself to feel and process that pain, and then choosing to let it go so as not to carry its weight in your heart. In his writings, Lewis highlighted that forgiving is to imitate God. He often reflected on how God forgives us despite our faults, suggesting that by forgiving others, we are following the divine example. The same is said in Colossians 3:13. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. 6. The importance of questioning and doubting. If you're going through a period of doubt and questioning, know that you're not alone on your journey. Doubt, although it may seem like an unwelcome visitor, is an integral part of the human experience, especially on the path of faith. It's not a sign of weakness, but an indication of your profound search for truth and meaning. Lewis writes, can a mortal ask questions which God finds unanswerable? Quite easily, I should think. All nonsense questions are unanswerable. How many hours are there in a mile? Is yellow square or round? Probably half the questions we ask. Half our great theological and metaphysical problems are like that. He didn't see doubt as necessarily opposed to faith, but as a natural and often essential part of a person's spiritual journey. In his works, he suggested that facing and exploring our doubts, rather than avoiding or suppressing them, can lead to a richer understanding and a stronger faith. He understood that true faith is tested and refined through challenges, including questioning and doubt. When facing your doubts, I encourage you to remember that faith doesn't demand the absence of questioning, but the presence of trust, even when answers seem distant. Allow yourself to express your uncertainties and fears to God, knowing that He is listening. Seek community and dialogue with others who may share your experiences and offer support. Faith is often a collective journey, not just a solitary path. In James 1:5-6. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. This passage encourages seeking God for wisdom in times of doubt, highlighting the importance of faith in this process. However, it also acknowledges the reality of doubt, likening it to the instability of sea waves. Even in Matthew 28:17, after the resurrection, when Jesus appeared to the 11 disciples, the Bible says, when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Furthermore, consider that the act of questioning can be a means for God to shape and refine your faith, making it more personal, alive, and authentic. Every question you ask can be a seed for deeper understanding and a stronger relationship with the Creator. Finally, know that it's okay not to have all the answers right now. Faith, at its core, involves walking with confidence even amidst the fog of uncertainty. God doesn't require us to walk this journey with blind faith, but with an open heart, willing to learn and grow even in doubts. May you find comfort and strength in the assurance that your doubts are not a hindrance to God, but a path through which He can guide you to a deeper and more meaningful faith. May your journey through doubt lead you to renewed confidence and lasting peace. 7. Gratitude. In moments of pain and adversity, it can seem almost impossible to find reasons to be grateful. Pain, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, has the power to darken our view of the world, making it difficult to see beyond our immediate suffering. Pain is an inescapable part of the human condition, a universal language that we all, at some point, learn to speak. It teaches us about our own vulnerability, about our need for others, and about the impermanence of all things. But paradoxically, within pain, there are also seeds of growth.